and ESG visibility to waste management across Southeast Asia. His technology is already powering waste collectors in Indonesia and Singapore and supporting governments and industries in building more efficient and circular operations. With deep experience in tech and sustainability, Bruno sits at the intersection of AI and environmental innovation, making him a perfect moderator for today's panel on sustainability and AI, tools for a resilient economy. Bruno, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Hi again. I hope you enjoy the day. I think lots of people left already, which is normal. But thanks for the people who are still there. I appreciate. I know who you are. Okay. Thank you very much to be there for this panel, AI and Sustainability, Tools for a Resilient Economy. Artificial intelligence is already reshaping how we manage resources, anticipate climate risks, and measure impact. Today, we will explore how AI moves from proof of concept to practical tools that deliver both efficiency and resilience. I'm calling my panelists Ankit Gupta, co-founder of Dayatani, agri-tech innovator using AI for precision farming and resource efficiency. Then I'm calling Eryk Pratama, Vice Chairman of Standing Committee of AI and Personal Data Protection, Kemardagan dan Industri KADIN, Indonesia, and Policy Advisor linking technology governance and finance. And I'm calling Pundak, Head of Global Business, SeeTree, an agri-tech specialist transforming environmental data into strategies for resilience and resource optimization. Let's begin by looking at where AI is already delivering measurable impact. So I have a few questions for you guys. So Ankit, how is AI transforming resource efficiency in agriculture while maintaining yields and profitability?
So we are a company that manufactures potato seeds, and we also build AI for farmers. So when you look at resources for farmers, farmers typically invest money in seeds, right? Seed is one of the most important resources for them. But apart from seed, there's fertilizers, there's water, there's agrochemicals, and then there's labor. Where AI is actually helping is to actually produce better high quality seeds for us. So we use AI in our own seed farming operations that manufacture seeds that are less resistant to diseases. So that basically boosts farmer productivity by a lot. The second thing is also about fertilization. So most farmers in Indonesia, they're adding a lot of fertilizers in the farms. But based on the data that we have been collecting, because we have built a low-cost soil testing device in-house also, we have found out that Indonesian soils has very high potassium. So farmers do not necessarily need to add potassium, but they still do it because most of them are not aware. So if you do soil testing properly, you can not only save the cost of fertilizers by 10 to 12%, you can actually make the soils healthier also. When it comes to agrochemicals, which is another resource that farmers spend a lot of money on, farmers have the tendency of overspraying in Indo. Because Indo is a tropical country, there are many diseases, many pathogens that attack the plants, and farmers do not want to take chances. So they do a lot of preventive spraying that can become a lot more guided based on the actual conditions that are forming for any pest or disease attacks. So we have built certain intelligence around pest and disease attacks, and once the attacks happen, then we also help farmers to diagnose those problems and find the right input to use. So that way they can actually optimize not only their fertilizers, but also chemical usage, right? And once you optimize fertilization and agrochemicals, the third component, which is the labor, it automatically goes down because you're spraying less often, because you're fertilizing less often, so your cost of labors also go down. The water, which is also one of the most critical resources, it's basically free for farmers, so they tend to misuse or overuse it also, right? That's where we have our own in-house IoT, which we have designed very low cost for smallholder farmers that can monitor soil moisture very, very proactively. So, and it can also look at plants' wilting conditions. So you do not necessarily have to keep adding water unless the plant needs it or demands for it.
Okay, thank you, very interesting. Okay, Eryk, how do we ensure efficiency doesn't turn into overconsumption?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so basically, yeah, my background is not only AI, but I'm also cybersecurity practitioner. So sometimes, yeah, I see that when we try to make AI as efficient as possible to help our business, sometimes I see another side. So how make the system vulnerable so it will be overconsumed or maybe it will it will not achieve their objective. Yeah, this is another perspective. Yeah, but for this, yeah, I have summarized some items basically about how we can optimize resource. Yeah, when efficiency doesn't turn into overconsumption. So usually when we talk about efficiency, we just think about okay how we price the cost, yeah, to obtain more value from our activity. But I think, yeah, I found a concept that I think we need to redefine, yeah, efficiency, which is to be the sufficiency plus accountability. So sufficiency means, yeah, we do more, but with less harms, yeah. So accountability, which means that we have more visibility on what we are doing. So for example, if we apply AI, yeah, to improve our performance in any kind of business activities, yeah, basically since I'm in KADIN, so I'm not only involved not only in certain sector but multiple sectors. Yeah, so maybe I cannot explain in certain sector now. Yeah, but AI, yeah, with AI we should do more. Since this context is about sustainability, we need to add more green KPI. What is meant by green KPI? So we have to ensure that in our activity, in the terms of sustainability, usually in Indonesia, when we say about sustainability, it's related to the carbon, right? So we have to ensure that every activities we can calculate how many carbon, yeah, CO2, yeah, we can produce, and then we can make it more efficient with the AI system that we want to implement. Yeah, so it can be happen if we apply the sufficient control, yeah, to monitor our carbon consumptions. Yeah, since yeah my perspective in more on the because I have a large a big experience in audit. That's why I see this is very a challenge when we try to make everything efficient with AI, but we realize that to run this AI, we will lose a lot of energy on that. So we will lose a lot of CO2. Then how we can make it more more efficient like that. Yeah. So to solve this problem, we need to ensure that we have proper governance. Yeah, what it means by with proper governance. So we have to have a set of rules on how we can utilize our AI system, yeah, and then we apply it in our life cycle, all of the business process like that, yeah. So the challenge is not how fast we can finish our job with AI, but yeah, how we can wisely keep every ecosystem and boundaries of our ecosystem, yeah. It will make the process more sustainable like that. I think this is my answer.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. So Dor, what makes AI data trustworthy and comparable across industries?
Okay, thank you. So I think we've learned at SeeTree that AI can be very, of course, a very powerful tool, but as others have mentioned earlier today, also very risky and misleading if it's not built on very solid ground. And therefore, we identify three key elements which are important in order to achieve a truly trustworthy AI. The first one, of course, is the data, okay? But we're not talking about just any data, otherwise it's purely going to be just garbage in, garbage out. We need great data, data that needs to be reliable, comprehensive, verifiable. And if this data does not exist for our customers or exists partially, we go out and get it. Okay, we can obtain it through aerial imagery of drones or satellites, It can be boots on the ground using mobile applications or IoT, as my friend has mentioned here. Any historical data comes into to the database and the platform and can be inputted into the models. Second is the training process. This, of course, also has to be rock solid with no shortcuts. Okay, that would be the second element. We see the importance of having consistency and accuracy in the models before we even start thinking of scaling up. And the third is the quality control, okay? A loop of feedback with human interference, as people have mentioned here. That human is an expert on his domain, okay? And we validate our models constantly to make sure that we're staying on track. So these are the three key elements, really the data, the high quality data, ongoing training, and the quality control. And yes, these are processes that take time, a lot of effort, money, but we see that these truly are necessary in order to have valuable data that makes all the difference.
When you speak about IoTs to acquire data, I'm curious to understand what are those IoTs in case of farms or on the ground. Can you explain?
Yeah, so what I was referring to, any sensor that a grower can have in the ground. It could be on the ground, it can be in the trunk of a tree to estimate soil moisture, heat, temperature, any meteorological station that a small grower or a big company could have around their plantation. This is data that is many times updated on a daily or on an hourly basis. It's a lot of data coming in, sometimes to the resolution of an individual tree, sometimes a sample tree that is representing an area. And that's very valuable information coming from the ground.
Okay, thank you. Now we are going to go to something very interesting, is tackling the climate risks. So Dor, still a question for you. How does AI help organizations anticipate and adapt to climate risks? This is a very crucial point, right?
Yeah. So we really see AI acting as a game changer when it comes to dealing with climate risks. I'll give the specific example that we're doing at SeeTree. We're using advanced AI tools to create yield estimations. Okay, yield forecast. We're doing that not as a roughly forecast, rather at a very high level accuracy forecast. And we even do that before the season starts. Now, just to understand, yield forecast is probably one of the most important parameters for any agribusiness, whether it's a large corporation, a medium size, or a smallholder, as it affects their commercial preparations, any operational plannings, budget, etc. And having the visibility on what's going to come for an industry that is based on planning a month ahead and sometimes even more is crucial. Now, what's even more interesting is that those models that we're using are constantly learning. They're not static, okay? So we're able to add information as the season starts and unfolds. If it's changes of weather that we can input, if it's information that we get from the field, regarding actual yield, and update this information. All this is feeding the models and making them smarter and more precise. And I think this on-the-flight learning that we have is very important in a world where the climate changes are breaking down all the traditional assumptions that many of the companies, I'd say the majority of the growers, are still using today. So the estimations is just one value that we can derive from those AI. Another very important feature is our ability to break down each variable and parameter that's in the model and start asking why things happen. So we're able to look at each parameter and understand how that specific variable contributes to the outcome. Okay, if it's weather or a certain fertilizer or a certain product applied at a certain time, we can now with AI basically look at each one of those and understand, see what it contributes, and it's turning AI from just a black box to an actual tool for decision making for the clients. Now, understanding both concepts of predicting or forecasting the yield and being able to break each variable down enables us now to start simulating different scenarios of what's going to come, okay, what will be. So we can create a simulation of what will happen if rain will come 2 weeks early or 2 weeks late this year. What happens if an extreme heat wave strikes my trees during flowering time? And all of these are incredibly important insights for the growers, which they can use to detect both vulnerabilities but also opportunities, which cannot be done by merely just looking at raw data. I think then the actual thing that we're giving the growers is more time and time to plan, and we're turning them from from a very reactive mode to a proactive and planning mode, which is something quite special. So yeah, in the agriculture world, where climate changes, as we see, become more frequent and more extreme, being able to have this foresight is the one thing that can really make the whole difference, okay? An entire difference from the company if they're going to have a very successful year or possibly a terrible year the upcoming. The ability to allocate resources, whether it's fertilizers or manpower, any type of resource in a much more sustainable manner and much more precisely, okay? Rather than applying everywhere the same, they're able to pinpoint a certain estate, a certain block, a certain tree with a different quantity. And I think my bottom line here is really that AI is empowering the clients and the growers to act with much more confidence in a world where the climate does not really act by the rules.
Thank you very much. Quite interesting. Ankit, now it's your turn. What's AI's role in helping Asian farmers adapt to climate variability?
I think when it comes to farmers specifically, so in my understanding, farmers, they do not seek a lot of knowledge. They seek a lot of actions and decisions because they have to battle with so many things going on. Specifically when it comes to climate resilience, I think one of the biggest decisions that they have to take as a farmer is when to really sow the crop, because most farmers are dependent on rains. A lot of people don't have access to irrigation, right? So when you're dependent on rain, you have to plan your sowing in the field very, very timely, because otherwise you can have a germination loss. And with that germination loss, of course, your fertilizers also lose, and then you have to buy the seeds again. So when to really plant is very critical for a farmer. And as we've been all seeing, that cycles of planting have been shifting all around the world. So that's where AI can actually start coming in. I mean, the world models have existed, the weather models have existed in the world for quite long now, the likes of ECMWF, but they're not very good at predicting long-range weather forecasts. Most weather forecasts that we see today is short-range. It's only as accurate up to, let's say, next 2 to 3 days. It starts falling apart after, let's say, next 5 days. So AI can truly look at all the historical information that has been collected, data specifically around weather, and it can actually build and predict, start having like long-range forecasts. That is one key insight that will help farmers plan their sowing properly. Other climate resilience, other risks related to climate are basically when the temperatures are increasing, the cycles of pests that attack your farm also changes. So when certain conditions starts forming, can you give early warning alerts to farmers? But then that requires an infrastructure of IoTs on the ground that is constantly monitoring the conditions and raising an alert the moment you see those conducive conditions forming up for certain pest attacks. So I think these are two probable areas in which we are already building, and we hope that the technology will evolve a lot. So with Google launching Weather Next 2 very recently, the long-range forecast accuracy should drastically shoot up in the coming futures.
Okay, I have a question which comes to my mind. How is it difficult for the farmers to accept AI?
That's a very good question. So we have very funny anecdotes around it. So it's not that difficult. So the way we have actually positioned our AI solution in front of farmers is that we have given an identity which is believable to our AI agent. And up to an extent that most farmers started believing that he's a real person. So I was looking at my numbers and the engagement was not very great. I was like, what is going on? So I went to the ground, I started talking to farmers, and then turns out they think it's a real person and they do not want to disturb that person, because Indonesians are very nice, right? I mean, they think that if they message somebody, he's going to be disturbed. So that was one key insight that I found out. So it's not very difficult to adopt AI because we have made the bot available on WhatsApp, and if not all farmers, I think most young farmers now have WhatsApp, have smartphones. So they know how to talk, and vernacularity in Bahasa is also quite good now compared to, let's say, 2-3 years back. So adoption is not a problem. I think really adapting on what the AI response is and what to expect, what not to expect from the AI, because people blindly start putting faith and trust in whatever it says. So having that realistic expectation and then calibrating it again on what to follow and how much to follow, I think that's more important.
And today, what is the proportion of farmers who have adopted AI already?
So I think the percentage is still quite low, to be very honest with you, because farmers are almost at the end of the adoption curve usually, because most technologies reaches rural areas almost very late, right? Now, if I were to put a number to it, I've seen several studies in India and Africa, but numbers still not very high. There's not more than 1 million farmers globally who have started using AI properly.
Yeah, very small. Okay, thank you very much. So now we are going to a new chapter about enabling greener goals. And I want to ask to Eryk, how can AI make ESG reporting credible and yet cost efficient?
Yeah, thank you. So as we know that ESG is like compliance-based, compliance-based reporting, environment and social and governance, which we know that a lot of criteria, under ESG. Even like maybe just a sample, So previously I was also privacy consultant also. So what is the relation with cybersecurity and privacy consultant to ESG? So if we see under social and governance, there is an aspect about human rights. So in human rights, there is a privacy. So the question is, if in environment aspect, there are a lot of criteria, in the social or governance aspect, there are a lot of criteria, including sub criteria, how we can ensure that we have the accurate information, what we collect and what we present and submit to the maybe regulation, or maybe certain sustainability rating like Sustainalytics, So maybe you know that in some of the SOE banks and also companies, they are pursuing Sustainalytics or sustainability rating. So to comply or to achieve this kind of rating, we have to have a proper assessment data. So which means that in this case, when we utilize AI, the first thing is we can transform from compliance-based activities to the data-driven activities. Which means that how to do this? The first one is AI can automate the task. So we have to define our data sources, how we integrate it. Why when we talk about AI, why we talk about data? Because AI is as good as the data. So if the data is like a garbage, so the outputs may be also the garbage. So data governance is very important in this case. That's why we have to define clearly what is our data sources, how we can like Dor said that about we maintain the data quality. So this AI era improve our data quality and management practice in the company. That's why we need this qualified data. The second one is AI can help to predict. So to predict, we need a proper data and we have to know what we want to predict, right? So the third one is about the verification. So depend on what is your sources. For example, like we want to ensure that every data in environment domain, ESG environment domain, we take the data from the proper sources with the proper methodology with proper tools. So to verify this kind of information, one of our control, usually we use blockchain system. So blockchain is a safer system than another system. Even if from the hacker perspective, we can break the blockchain network basically, but it's better for now because we can verify, we can ensure that the data is accurate. The last one is about the explainability. So when we use AI, everything can be explainable. For example, like how can you calculate our CO2 consumption? Without any proper tools. So if we can make AI more clearer, how we get the data, when we use the proper tools, methodology, and appliance, so I think it will be explainable in this case like that. Maybe this my answer. Thank you.
Okay. So now I have a question for the three of you. The same question. So What's the next frontier for AI and sustainability? So, who want to start?
Yeah, I can go first. So, next frontier for AI from a farmer's perspective specifically is, I think, as we all know, that AI right now is a very good answer engine. It just, you type in a prompt, it will blurb everything, right? But that's not ideal for farmers. Farmers actually hate to read so much. They don't read so much. So I really expect the AI to become more action-driven and more decision-driven, and feels more natural to have a conversation instead of blurting big texts, right? So becoming more decision supporting for farmers is the next frontier that I see. Also, they don't prefer chats, they prefer voice. So farmers have this habit of sending voice notes, which is quite unlike, even I chat a lot, but I never send voice notes, but farmers prefer voice notes. It's easier for them to pick up a phone and call somebody and ask rather than typing, right? So I really hope that the AI evolves very much into a very good voice agent, because right now voice is still a bit buggy. Even when we interact with OpenAIs or Geminis, the voice is a little bit buggy. The experience is not very smooth. So that's that. And then I think one of the last frontiers specifically for AI is Google is already doing great work in AlphaFold. So how different diseases or cures for different diseases that affects the crop can be found by understanding the interactions of these molecules underneath the soil. I think that'll be very, very crucial breakthrough in R&D that can actually solve the problems that most of the farmers face.
Thank you. Do?
So I think pretty much in the same lines. Basically, we should be aiming for full optimization, and by that I mean being able to produce more with more yield, using less resources at a lower cost. And maybe just to give an example, because we also spoke about converting data into action. So we at SeeTree, we can detect weak areas in a farm, in an estate. And using this data, for instance, knowing which trees have a problem, okay? If it's a nutrient problem, if it's a disease, if it's a water stress, we can direct the teams to give a dedicated treatment for those trees that might need more or less fertilizer in this case, okay? So we're reducing the cost, we're acting in a more sustainable manner for managing the operations. And this will, the outcome of course will be more productive trees, healthier trees that will produce more fruit.
Okay. Eryk?
Yeah, thank you. So, sorry. So two word is autonomous sustainability. So yeah, instead of just we optimize the use of AI, we have to ensure that AI is self-regulate. So AI can self-monitor, self-improvement at least. Yeah, this is from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we are going to ask questions in the audience, if you have questions. Okay, maybe you can give the mic.
You can use this mic.
Thank you. I'm Mark. I'm not a farmer, but I grew up around farms. So in the olden days, farmers has to do a rotation, right? You cannot always grow the same thing over and over. Right. So my question is, will AI be able to tell the minerals enough to propose a seed that you should do in that moment?
I think I can take that up. So I think that's a great question. We've been talking about this, right? So any AI is as good as the data itself, right? So, but the biggest challenge in agriculture is actually not just having the data, but it's also lacking the context around it, right? Because data always never helps without context, right? So if you look at it from that perspective, AI can practically do anything, right? But so when it comes to actually figuring out the nutrients within the soil, that requires a chemical test to be performed. Now there are certain in situ sensors that you can deploy in the soil, but they cannot quantify the value of nitrates or phosphates or potassium in the soil, right? And the infrastructure for sending the samples to the labs and getting them tested from, let's say, the universities, that's costly and that's time taking and everything. Once you scale this data through a device that can quantify the nutrients for you and understand what is there, and it's not just about the nutrients present in the soil test may show that there are nutrients, but it may not be available in the plant absorption form. So you really have to unlock. So as I said, right, Indonesian soils, the potassium in Indonesian soil is quite high. whenever we test any sample from anywhere in Java, the potassium actually and plant cannot take it up. So you really have to not collect what is there in the soil at the moment that can be unlocked when the season starts.
Basically, you only do this once, it's done.
So soil testing once, yes, but how much plant has actually absorbed also or not, that can vary, right? Because plant health varies across the season. So even though the equation is fixed that, hey, we know how much plant needs, but how much did it actually take up, that we have to measure again after end of season, right?
Any other question?
Thank you. For the panel, I don't know. All the four, I think it will be relevant. So when you go as an entrepreneur and you have so many problems, as we heard our BNI Ventures talking here, we find a problem that we want to solve. So how and why you recommend to the public or the people here to go to a place where AI can do good, and how AI can actually make our world better in a way, in sustainability way, or in other ways? Because all of you chose things how to help this world with AI. So it's interesting also, Bruno, yourself, I think you also have your thought for many, many years in the field, but it's very interesting why you chose something it's sustainable and not just making money.
Well, personally, I'm not the founder of SeeTree. I'm a worker, but I can say that I was attracted exactly because of that. Doing something that has an added value, I think, and I was not aware of everything when I joined, but you learn as you go, and you see the impact globally. We're working all the way from Chile, Argentina, Brazil, and Malaysia, Indonesia. Farmers look different, speak different language, but I think are pretty much the same all over the world. And you see what this can do. And I think even more in recent years when AI is boosting and increasing the efficiency of what we can deliver them, and this of course affects eventually their efficiency. And for me, that's the reason that I really enjoy what I'm doing and chose this field.
Actually, for me, AI is a reality, but it's also a buzz. And when I go to see my clients in Singapore, and I tell them that wwwaste.io is powered by AI, they say, oh yeah, can we see? There is a kind of attraction from AI. And when we give a reality to the AI, and when we show what we can do with an AI agent in our product, they are looking at it and they say, even if it's people in huge company, they say, we never thought that AI can do this in the sustainability world. For us, it's totally new. And this gives, of course, for me who is an entrepreneur, it gives a way to sell my product. And it's really interesting because the vision that there is AI in a product that can help to solve problems is really, really accurate. Very interesting for the clients. That they think that we can solve everything with AI. Actually, no. We cannot solve everything with AI. But we can sell it in a way that what we can do is already good for them with AI. And that's the way we are using AI today.
I think, so I mean, I can also add. So for me, it's the reason I started in the farming space, coming from an engineering background. So I saw most of the people going to urban areas, building urban solutions for urban consumers. I saw that I mean, somebody have to think about the rural population, because I started back in India. So I started my first company in India. And yeah, most of the population lives in rural. I mean, 70% Indian still lives in rural areas. So nobody was building any startups for them. Building urban startups was cool, right? So I was like, no, I mean, it has to be, I have to be more responsible towards building. I'm a builder, so I can build. But let's target a market that is underserved, where there is a lot of white spaces, a lot of opportunities, a lot of problems, as Pa also mentioned, still exist. These are tough problems to solve. These are not easy problems to solve. It may take decades. It may require a lot more capital, but the satisfaction that I get at the end of the day by growing a nice potato is much higher than, you know, making a very large model, let's say.
Eryk?
Yeah, thank you. So maybe I will give. So basically, I don't have any experience in farming. Even my grandfather and grandmother is a farmer, yeah. So we have a large place to farm any kind of food. So my perspective is like this, yeah. So most of the people nowadays usually talks about the AI implementation, AI usage, yeah. But yeah, I think not much talk about AI safety, specifically AI security. So this is the one that maybe our colleagues here and all of you think that, okay, how we can defend a good use case to implement AI solutions, yeah. Either we develop by ourselves or using another solution. But my personal focus is how we ensure that your implementation is secure. That's why when the AI in Indonesia, especially when Gen AI booming, I'm still focused on how we can ensure that it's secure. Even to cover this, I create a company specialist in AI GRC and security. So we have to ensure that your AI implementation is explainable and secure. So that's why what I usually recommend to the AI solution is you need to conduct technical assessment, for example, AI red teaming, and implement proper guardrails, yeah. So we know that a lot of, so basically ini this morning I have delivered a webinar about AI security. So one thing that you must know that AI is designed to be biased, yeah. So if you know the basic of AI is like the mathematical calculations. At the basic, AI doesn't understand the context. Yeah, that's why we have to add more context, to the AI. But the context itself is not sufficient. Why? Yeah, when I say AI is as good as the data, basically there are another thing that we add, the context itself, yeah, and also how we secure the context and the data. That's why when we try to test the AI system, we try to do any adversarial injection, for example, prompt injection, make the AI to create hallucination, bias, and etc. So this is the one that I promote to everyone, that okay, AI should be responsible, but also be secure, like that.
Okay,
This is my personal perspective. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Eryk.
Yeah.
So we come to a conclusion now. Today, made one thing clear. AI is already delivering real, measurable impact for sustainability when it is built on quality data, grounded in strong governance, and focused on real-world problems, right? We heard how AI is helping farmers and industries produce more with fewer resources. Better fertilizers, planning, fewer unnecessary chemical sprays, smarter irrigation, decision, and early warning for climate or pest risks. That's what you said, right? These are practical tools that increase yield, reduce costs, and build climate resilience. We also saw that the foundation of trustworthy AI is good data, solid training, and constant quality control. Without that, AI becomes unreliable. With it, AI becomes a powerful decision engine that explains why things happen and simulates what-if scenarios. And finally, AI must operate with clear boundaries. Efficiency should not become overconsumption. Governance, green KPIs, and transparent reporting ensure AI not only optimizes operations, it aligns decision with planetary limits. There is where AI can turn ESG from compliance into a trust mechanism that is automated, verified, and predictive. If we bring it all together, the future of sustainability with AI is very simple. Personalized intelligence, responsible optimization, and systems that helps us to better, not just more. So as a final thought, on Monday, choose one process or one decision where AI can help you reduce waste, anticipate risk, or strengthen credibility. Small, smart steps, consistently taken, are what build true resilience. Thank you all for joining us to this panel, and let's keep building a truly resilient economy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please remain on the stage. We are going to have a little bit of photo session and
Thank you so much once again. Let's give a round of applause to Bruno and the rest of the panelists. Okay, let's take a picture first. Okay, done? All right, thank you so much. Thank you once again.